The Buddha was a philosopher, mendicant, meditator, spiritual teacher, and religious leader who lived in ancient India. He is revered as the founder of the world religion of Buddhism and worshipped by most Buddhist schools as the enlightened one, who has transcended karma and escaped the cycle of birth and rebirth. He taught for around 45 years and built a large following, both monastic and lay. His teaching is based on his insight into dukkha, typically translated as suffering, and the end of dukkha, the state called nibbana or nirvana. The Buddha was born into an aristocratic family in the Shakya clan but eventually renounced lay life. According to Buddhist transition, after several years of mendicancy, meditation, and asceticism, he awakened to understand the mechanism which keeps people trapped in the cycle of rebirth. The Buddha then traveled throughout the Ganges plain, teaching and building a religious community. The Buddha taught a middle way between sensual indulgence and the severe asceticism found in the Indian Sarmana movement. He taught a spiritual path that included ethical training and meditative practices such as jhana and mindfulness. The Buddha also critiqued the practices of Brahmin priests, such as animal sacrifice. A couple of centuries after his death, he became to be known by the title Buddha, which means awakened one or enlightened one. Gautama's teachings were compiled by the Buddhist community in the suttas, which contain his discourses, and the Vinaya, his codes for monastic practice. These were passed down in Middle Indo-Aryan dialects through an oral tradition. Later generations composed additional texts, such as systematic treatises known as Abhidharma, biographies of the Buddha, collections of stories about the Buddha's past lives known as Jataka tales, and additional discourses, i.e., the Mahayana Sutras. Scholars are hesitant to make unqualified claims about the historical facts of the Buddha's life. Most people accept that the Buddha lived, taught, and founded a monastic order during the Mahajanapada era, during the reign of Bimbisara, the ruler of the Magadha Empire, and died during the early years of the reign of Ajatashatru, who was the successor of Bimbisara, thus making him a younger contemporary of Mahavira, the Jain. While the general sequence of birth, maturity, renunciation, surge, awakening, and liberation, teaching, death is widely accepted, there is less consensus on the veracity of many details contained in traditional biographies. The times of Gautama's birth and death are uncertain. Most historians in the early 20th century dated his lifetime as c. 563 BCE to 483 BCE. Within the Eastern Buddhist tradition of China, Vietnam, Korea, and Japan, the traditional date for the death of the Buddha was 949 BC. According to the Gautam system of time calculation, Buddha is believed to have died about 833 BCE. Most recently, his death is dated later, between 411 and 400 BCE. While at a symposium on this question held in 1988, the majority of those who presented definite opinions gave dates within 20 years either side of 400 BCE for the Buddha's death. These alternative chronologies, however, have not been accepted by all historians.